Okay, so all right, so let's start with this, okay? So we have this regular text, and some of it's regular and some of it I've enclosed in paragraph form. The biggest thing when you have paragraphs, right? If I say this is regular text also, and then I can save that and then run in Chrome. You see how a line didn't get skipped, right? It would all jumble together. I can write The Great Gatsby here, and if I don't enclose it in paragraph tags, it doesn't really get formatted. So formatting is probably one of the most important aspects of web design in general, just because especially if you're trying to sell people something or drive traffic to your site, if people can't find what they're looking for easy, they're not going to stay on your site very long, right? So formatting is probably one of the most important things we're going to learn how do you organize and display your information in a way that makes your user's job easier, okay? So the difference between this and this is if I write another one of these here, oops, how did that not copy? Copied this, and I'll just say also. If I run, go to Chrome. Oops, I forgot to save. Damn it, save. There we go. I run, go to Chrome. It skips a line. So we can already see, like, just even with basic stuff, just basic paragraph tags, formatting's already making a huge difference, right? One of the greatest things we can do to organize our text is to organize it into lists. And probably the most common one you're going to run into is what's called an unordered list in HTML. And that tag looks like that, UL for unordered list. And it has an end tag. And for both kinds of lists, I'm going to show you two different kinds of lists. For both kinds, all the items that are in those lists are created in their own tags as well. And it's called LI for list item. So you have a start tag and an end tag for list items. And we can basically just enclose all these. I'll just copy and paste these into the list, or cut and paste. And I can change these to LIs. LIs. Oops. I have an unordered list here, and what that's going to look like when I run it, make sure you hit Control S before you run. It's a bulleted list. It's pretty much the most common type of list that you're going to see on web pages, because it gives the programmer control over what goes where. And for these bullet points here, you'll find out when we start doing more complicated styles later that I can use whatever I want here in place of these bullets. So I could put in numbers, I could put in different kinds of pictures, images, icons, anything I want can pretty much go there. An unordered list is probably one of the most diversely used and really beneficial things you can add to your site. It has a huge benefit. But we also have ordered lists, which have their place also, right? And basically an ordered list is just your standard 1, 2, 3, 4 sort of a list, right? And we have those too. You've seen those on websites, but they're a little bit more pre-organized, and they're not as flexible, I would say. So that's one way to format our text. Another way, let's go back a bit to pre-list. So I'm going to ask you to use an ordered and unordered list in your lab. So just be prepared to do that. Make sure you know how to do it. One other thing we can do is if I have one set of text here and one set of text in paragraphs, I can actually create what's called cascading style sheets. Has anybody heard the term CSS before? Raise the hands. So if you've heard the term CSS before, it stands for cascading style sheets. And what that is I'm going to create a style sheet here. And the styling information that I put inside these tags is going to cascade down to the rest of the elements in the tags. So what I can do, what I do with my style sheet is I'll start by calling an HTML element. And this could be one of your H1s. It could be any kind of object that's contained in the body of your HTML document. In this case, I'm going to use my paragraph text, and you just write the tag name right there. So you write the tag name and then open up a set of curly brackets. Okay, these curly brackets are similar to what you'd see in like Java or JavaScript when we get to it. Okay, and inside those brackets, you're going to put some styling information for text. What's probably going to be the first thing you think of when we want to change our text? What do you think we would do? Yo. Okay, that's one thing. Something simpler. What?
Size.
Size. Yes.
Color.
Color would probably be the first thing. Most people, if you're thinking about fun stuff, right, probably do font. And if you just write color by, there's all kinds of different sorts of colors that you can put on stuff in a tag, right? If you just do straight up color, that's going to apply to your text. Color only. There's also background color, highlight color, all kinds of different stuff like that. But if you just do color by itself, that's going to apply to the text. So if I save this and I hit refresh here, you can see my regular text is still the regular text, but my paragraph text turned blue. And that's because I called paragraph and I said, hey, turn it blue. That makes sense so far? Okay, the other thing I can do, somebody mentioned size, and you can do size and that kind of information. I probably won't do that directly, and I'll show you why in just a second. There's a better way to edit fonts that I found. What I would probably do is I would go to, like, we can mess with the alignment a little bit. And this is something you'd want to do a lot when you're creating like navigation lists and things like that. You know, want to play with the alignment, make sure it fits in its proper window as you would like it to do, right? So text alignment is really important. So let's just play with it so we get something that has a high contrast so we see the actual difference it makes. Let's put our blue text in the center of the page, right? If I hit refresh, that centers it. Makes sense so far? Okay, so there's all kinds of stuff I can do for this text. If you really want to go crazy and mess with your font and the size and everything, what I would suggest doing is using Google Fonts. Now, when I was first starting out doing this stuff, getting crazy fonts on websites was like one of the most difficult things ever, because any fonts that you used on a computer had to be installed on the actual computer, right? So up until about 6-8 years ago, that was the case. It got a little bit better because most Windows and Mac installations started coming with thousands and even millions of pre-installed fonts. And it was even part of the update. You'd see like .font documents come up as your computer's updating, and it was like one of the things that took a long time. We don't really have to do that anymore because we have this great thing called Google Fonts. And Google Fonts is cool because the fonts are hosted online, right? So you don't need to have them installed on the computer. You don't need to worry if you're creating a public website. You don't have to worry about your end users actually having the font installed, right? You can just use the font and you know what your website's going to look like ahead of time forever, right? So let's pick something drastic so we know what happens, okay? So So we actually can see the effects of it. Let's go a little crazy. Should we go cursive or should we do like some bubbly stuff?
Cursive.
Here we go. Let's go with this guy right here. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. All right, so look. Shh, hold on. Since we already have a style tag, we can use these at imports, right? I can just, all you want to do is eliminate the style portion since we've already created a style tag. The other thing we could do, I'm going to get rid of this for a minute. Let's add it again. And I'm going to go back here. And you have your fonts here. What I want to do is I want to customize it, right? So there are all the available customizations will show up here if you click customize, and then we just go back to embedded, click that add import button, and just everything on the line that says add imports, you copy that. And you guys remember when we imported stuff in Python, right? And where did that, when we imported stuff, where did that import statement go? At the top of the document, right? Same thing with your style sheet. Anything that you're importing into style, you want to put at the top, right? So then I can use this anywhere else in the style tag that I want, right? So I copied that, and then this is how you use it here. And then if I save that, oops, I go, did I close it? All right, let's go ahead and run it. Check this out. Boom. And we can mess with the sizing and stuff too. I think it's a font size. Let's go with 24. Let's go crazy. 58. Sure.
What if I wanted a different shade of blue?
Then you could figure out what that is. I'll show you that. I'll show you that in a second. You can see that didn't work here, right? I think, I don't know if that takes pixel input. I can't remember. Let's try this. I think that works in points, not pixels. Yeah, there we go. So you can see we barely know any formatting, right, on these. And we've already made some significant impact on a couple of little things, right? I'm going to go ahead and stop this one here. And I want you guys to take one of your existing pages and just add a font to it. And some formatting information. Just start playing around with it for a second, and we'll go from there.
Or